Hi everybody, welcome back. It's Nancy, and today we are going to use this brand new stamp from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. This is called Seasonal Woodland, and it actually comes in two parts. So you have the scene part, which is everything you see here, and then it has this little, almost like a bush. And so you can stamp that at the bottom as foliage for the bush. But what I did was on this particular card, I stamped it all around the top of the trees to make it look like, different leaves. The sentiment is from the Love Llama set, so that is not included in the set. But what is included again is the background and then this little bush that you can use to do the top. But today we're going to change up the scenery and we are going to make a winter card. So we are not going to be making this card, we're going to make a winter card. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have a piece of Neenah Solar White, and we have this cut down to 5 1/4 by 4. That's the perfect size of the stamp, and I'm going to be using some Distress Oxide and Hickory Smoke. So because I want this to look like a wintry scene, we kind of want this cool gray background. So all we're going to do here is just kind of, especially on the outside, is we're going to bring this color in. Now, if you want smoother blending, I would recommend going with some Bristol paper. That will make it a little smoother. But we're going to do another technique that's going to cover up some of this blending so it doesn't have to be too perfect. As you guys know, I like to hide my mistakes because none of us are perfect. So I'm really going around the whole area, mostly focusing on the top because again we want the sky to be the grayest part, and then just going around the bottom. Not too worried about the center of the card because the majority of the stamp will cover that up. So just using a round distress blending tool, and this is Hickory Smoke in Distress Oxide. I picked Distress Oxide because I want it to have kind of that chalky look to it. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so that's our background. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring our mini Misty in, and I've already placed the stamp down. And I know that I wanted to put my paper on the little grid mat here, one row up and one row over from the left, just like this. I placed my stamp so that I had enough around the edges that it wasn't going to come off of the paper. Okay, so I'm just going to put my magnets in this little open space over here to hold that paper in place. And when stamping this down, we're going to use a very dark black ink, which is the Versafine Clair black ink. So we're going to stamp the whole image in that black. And the reason I'm using the Misty, any stamp positioning tool that you have, is because this being a silhouette image, I do want everything to be super black. And so if I have to stamp multiple times, I want to make sure that I'm able to do that. Pretty good. Missed a spot in the middle there. And I think I'll just do one more time, just really in the middle of the trees here. I want the tops to be kind of spotty. That's okay. That's enough for the stamping. I'm going to carefully remove this and give this just a second to dry. If you want to take a heat gun to it, you can do that. think it already looks like a pretty good winter scene, but we're going to step it up a notch. I have some of these watercolor markers. You don't want to use Copic markers, and the reason is because of the type of ink that we use. Now, if you had stamped this out in Memento ink, then you could use Copic or alcohol-based markers, but because we went with the Versafine ink, we want to use a water-based marker. So you want to use either your Copics, your Artezas, whatever water-based markers you have. Your Stampin' Up! Markers, you know, you guys all have these markers. I'm not going to tell you have to buy a specific marker. Any markers that you have, and I just happen to have these in a jar next to me. So I'm actually going to take some of the cool grays, which I know I have here. Okay, so I have cool gray 1 and I have light gray. So these are my 2 gray markers. And all I'm going to do here is basically just fill in the ground right where those lines are. I kind of want to give it this shadow. And the Distress ink will move out of the way because it does kind of activate with the water. But all I'm doing here is just accentuating the gray ground here. You could leave this as is. You do not have to do this. There is a reason, and I'll show you guys in a minute here why I'm accentuating that, because we really want that to stand out. So you can see just doing that really makes the ground pop, right? It looks like there's a shadow. So it looks like there's this layer of snow, right? Okay, so real simple. And then I'm going to take a darker green. This is called just green. Do I have a darker green? Hold on. Let me grab a dark green marker here. These are the Craftian markers. I have this dark green, and all I want to do with this dark green is basically right into these evergreens. I'm just going to touch up some color there. Just want that green to show through, because evergreens don't go bare. They might go a little brown, but I don't think they go bare. So we just want to highlight a little bit of color here in between the trees. We don't want this card to be bland and boring. Winter is not just gray and white. There are colors, and these are the types of trees that would show some of those colors. So all I'm doing is just putting this little pop of green in here. And they're in the background, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so we just have this little bit of green popping through here. Real simple. And I'm hoping winter is over, so you guys won't need this idea until Christmas time, but I just wanted to show you how versatile this stamp set was. Okay, so we are almost done. The last thing I want to do is take a white gel pen, and all I'm going to do with the white gel pen is just kind of go along the tops of the branches of the tree here. And this is a jelly roll pen. This is a .08, so it's a pretty thick nib. And all I'm doing is just very gently, real sketchy, the outer edges of the branches here. And you don't have to do every single one. We can make it look like it just started snowing. And some of these smaller ones, it's probably not going to show anyway. And all I'm representing here is just some of that snow has blown around, stuck to these tree branches. I'm really just kind of focusing on the thicker branches. The thinner ones I'm not so worried about. Okay, so that's pretty good. So you can see there we have the gray on the background, we have the gray on the ground, we have some white on the trees. So it's starting to come together and look like a winter scene. In fact, if you wanted to, you could probably go in and dot some of these evergreens. I don't think that that's really too necessary, but again, if you wanted to. All right, anyway, now comes the fun part. So you guys see me do this technique before. I'm going to take a piece of Stick It. You can use any kind of double adhesive that you have. And I'm going to pull the backing sheet off. Here we go. And I want to stick the front of the card to that Stick It all the way up to the top, making sure I get all of the edges. And I'm just going to cut the excess off here. I haven't released the paper from the bottom yet. I'm just cutting this to fit. Now, if you have a Xyron machine, you can run this through the Xyron. Okay, that's just excess. Move that aside. I'm just going to take a bone folder. I'm going to remove this other protective backing piece here. Okay, so we want the whole front covered in adhesive. I'm just going to take a bone folder along the back. Make sure we're pressing that down real nice. Moving to the front of the card. I'm just going to take a coffee filter. You can use a piece of paper, fold it in half. You can use a tidy tray if you have that. And we're going to use some Martha Stewart Crystal Fine Glitter. You can use any kind of light super fine glitter that you have, whether it be white or rainbow or clear, whatever you have. You can also use embossing powder if you wanted to heat emboss this. Up to you, but we're going to give it this winter glow. So now I'm just going to pull off the backing off of the adhesive now. Okay, and now that adhesive is stuck to our card. Super sticky. And we are just going to dump a ton of glitter on it. I'm going to do half and then come back and do the other half. Now, that other piece of backing that we had cut off, I didn't throw this away. I'm just putting this back onto the glitter and just pressing that back down into the glitter. So all this is doing is pressing that glitter down into the scene. And now we have a snow-covered winter screen. Winter scene, sorry. So you can see that gray background really makes it look like, it's fresh snow coming down. And then you have the bare trees, you have the green and the evergreens, you have some of that extra gray on the bottom, which gives it a little bit of dimension. And then you just have the scene. Now, if you wanted to stamp a sentiment, you would have stamped the sentiment before we put the glitter on, obviously. But I like to make these kinds of cards and leave them blank. And then later on down the line, then I would stamp a sentiment or put the sentiment on the inside of the card. So there you go, guys. There is 2 ways of using the same stamp set. And again, this is called the Seasonal Woodland Stamp Set from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. I will link it down in the comments for you guys, in the description box for you guys. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to post your comments and questions down below. I'll be happy to answer them for you. Let me know which scene you like better. Do you like the spring scene or do you like the winter scene? Comment down below. And I'm going to pick a winner and I'm going to send somebody one of these cards. Again, comment down below which one you like better, the spring scene or the winter scene. And I will send someone one of these cards. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, keep on stamping. Bye-bye.